What's going on? What's going on? Damn, the hell? So, yo, people wondering, I guess, lately if, you know, is Terrence Crawford staying with Top Rank or is he leaving? I guess it was some kind of, he put some things out in the last couple of weeks, like last week or the week before that, probably about 2 weeks ago or so, where he was in Dubai. So people kind of saying like, okay, if he's in Dubai, is it a situation where, he's trying to talk with somebody like, let's say, like an MT Global or something like that, and positioning himself to separate himself from the people that he's with right now. Now, as far as him being in Dubai, we can't look at anything into that whatsoever. The guy, vacation, he has financially, he's in a very good space. You've seen him in the dunes doing his thing, having fun, and that could be all that it is, But I will say this though: the fact that he still hasn't fought, there's been no fight that's been out, as far as he's concerned, it could mean a lot of different things, you know. One of the things it could mean is that he's trying to negotiate with Top Rank as far as extending his contract. That could be one of them because he only has one fight left, and his contract's supposed to end in October. So that could be a possibility. A possibility could be the fact that he's refusing to sign an extension. So because he's refusing to sign an extension, Bob Arum's not setting up a fight for him because he'll do that. He did that with Mikey Garcia as well. He refused to give him a fight when he went on an extension, and then Mikey was kind of stuck. He was stuck into a space where he didn't fight for, I think it was 2 years. He had to go to court and everything in order to get out of his contract. And I remember one of the things that Bob Arum said, it was like, oh yeah, his contract ends in October, but he still, quote, owes us one more fight. So does he, quote, owe him one more fight, or is it a situation where he can get out? I will say if he is trying to get out and he's trying to end his dealings with Top Rank, what he should have done off the rip was get an attorney and go to court right away. I mean, ASAP. He should have started those proceedings immediately, because Bob Arum's just not going to let you out. And if you think you're quote out and you're trying to do other business, he's gonna put a cease and desist on you. So if he wants his dealings to be over with Top Rank, he needs to file those papers and in a courtroom and do that unless it's very clear language that says that once October's done, that he's done with his contract. Or a third thing could be that, Bob Arum's really sitting around waiting until later on where he can fill up a venue. That's number one. And when he has, a fight that he believes is, good enough for him to pay Terrence Crawford the amount of money that she's going to have to pay him and get, quote, the return that he wants. Like now I've said before on multiple different occasions that he's not losing any money off of Terrence Crawford. He's not. When it comes to this different, he just has a different model of how he does things than other people. There's a reason why he just had an undisputed bout in front of only 1,000 people, and stayed at that hotel because he has a deal with that hotel. And they're paying him, don't get it twisted, a lot of money from him to hold those events over there. So financially, he's good. That's why he's doing that. When it comes to things like the television rights, when we don't know how much, we know how much his fighters get. We don't know how much ESPN actually gives Top Rank for those fights. And I'm sure there's a substantial amount of money. So he's good. Despite of what people think, he's good, and he's definitely not losing any money off of Terrence Crawford. He gets the highest viewerships off Terrence Crawford. He gets the biggest gates with Terrence Crawford. It's not even close. So he's definitely not losing. And he gets 30% of Crawford's purse on top of it. So he gets paid. He doesn't even have to pay Crawford like that. With the money he gives Crawford, Crawford gives most of it back. So he's good with the situation that he is when it comes to Terrence Crawford. But again, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I don't know, man. Me personally, right now, when it pertains to that man, I'm kind of on my I'll believe it when I see it kind of situation when it comes to him, because every move that he's made so far, there's nothing about any move that he's made that would say that he's gonna leave that man. When the way that man disrespects him and pisses on him, yet Crawford has nothing negative to say about him. Crawford sits there and makes excuses for everything that man says. The only person that seems to have nuts and is, standing up, for the disrespect that's going on is his sister. His sister's sitting there like, damn, man, you can't, at some point, you gotta stop the madness, So it could be also a situation where he's listening to them and coming up with a new, game plan. You know, like I know now when it comes to people like Bomac's gonna want him to stay in a situation that he's in. Bomac has it real sweet. You know, Bob Arum keeps sending him all of his fighters, the fighters. That's number one. You know, so he makes a good amount of money. He makes a good money off of that. He has a whole little side thing going on where he's making a whole lot of funds, a lot of money. So he's not going to want to necessarily leave Top Rank. He's going to want to stay in the position that he's in. But Crawford, if he wants to progress, he wants to move it to the next level. He wants to fight the particular, the fighters that he's saying that he quote wants to fight. Then his moves he's going to have to make, you know. And even if he does leave, him just leaving is not good enough. It also depends on who is he signing to, where is he going. I mean, he can. Canelo left the zone. I mean, Canelo left Golden Boy, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get the fights we want right now." Because he was sitting there. It seems as if he was negotiating with Caleb Plant. So like, okay, we're gonna get the Plant. We're gonna get the Charlo. We're gonna get all that. But that's not ended up what happened. That's not what ended up happening. We got what the hell did I just say? What? Wow. He ended up getting what we get. Yildirim. We got Smith. We got those kind of fights, and some of these fights, obviously, he was going like with the Saunders and the Smith. He was getting the belts, so cool. He got the belts, So now we have to see if what the next move is. Is he gonna, fight, some of the Plants or the Charlos, the guys that the Benavides is, the guys that we're gonna see him fight, or not? If he doesn't, then him, getting rid of Golden Boy didn't really mean nothing because at the end of the day, we didn't get anything that we wanted. And if, Terrence Crawford does something like join the zone, we're not going to get the fights. We saw what happened with Farmer. We've seen what's happening with Devin Haney. We've seen what happens with Demetrius Andres. We're not going to get the fights, period. So it's going to be just the same situation, just different location. That's all it's going to be. If he signs with someone like MTK Global does all their work with Top Rank. The only person that MTK Global has done work with really when it comes to Al Heyman and PBC is with Tyson Fury. And with the Tyson Fury situation, we've seen after the feud they were supposed to do a second fight, and he walked away from that fight, did these other fights with ESPN. Then they came up with the deal with ESPN. They do that fight. Then what happens again? He tries to get out of the second fight. So that's their experience with MTK Global. So a lot of people said, so just because they, quote, had experience with one fighter, the outlier, doesn't mean that they'll be able to do business when it pertains to someone like a Terrence Crawford. Doesn't mean that they will. And if he signs with someone like that, and who knows, Crawford might be like, hey, I want to do something like that where I'm signed to MTK Global, but I'm still working with the same people that I'm working with, with the same network and the same promotional company, but, them being a secondary, instead of my primary. He might, because I feel comfortable better in that situation. It could be something like that. So if he doesn't sign with PBC, he doesn't align himself with Al Heyman, where he's gonna, fight all the fighters that we want to see him fight, then it doesn't really matter. For him, he might put himself into a space where he's getting paid more money, from these other guys. Maybe that, maybe something like that will happen. But when it comes to the fights that we want to see, it won't happen. So it'll be the exact same situation. Like Bomac once said, why not fight a whole bunch of bums and make $3.5 million a fight? That's the one thing that's always stuck in my head. That's why all these years people say, oh, he'll fight these guys, he'll fight them. I was like, no, he's not. He's not fighting any one of them. Because at that point, I understand what their blueprint was. And I understood what their game plan was. Not to mention them also being signed to Top Rank. I understood how they operate as well. But, we'll see. So for now, I'm going to say, I don't know. I'll give him the benefit of doubt and say, I don't know. But if I was a betting man, I would say he's going to stick with them. Because it's been years, and it seems as if, but everybody does have that breaking point. Everybody does get into a position where, like, you know what, I need to make a move, like Manny Pacquiao did. So it's possible. But for now, like, subscribe, share, I'm out.